Good morning, everyone. We had a great party yesterday evening, so I can see a lot of energy in the room. To introduce myself, I'm Abhishek Lal. I head the digital, IT, and the data functions in Marks& and Spencer. I spent more than a decade in this space, and this topic is very passionate to me because I have, from day one, believed DTC is the way forward. It is what would power a brand in the long run. These strategies might differ who you are, what kind of brand you are. Are you into fashion? Are you into FMCG? What is your catalog size, etc., etc. But the foundation kind of remains the same. Let's look at why people go to marketplaces in the first place. Now, please keep in mind the marketplaces ecosystem has also evolved rapidly over the past 10, 15 years. There was a time when I used to sell products to them, and they used to put cash on the table and say, any price, any margin, we buy upfront from you, and we buy big quantities. We have big events, we have big sales coming up. Today, there is a time when everyone says, sorry, we don't buy anymore. You have to list it on a site and spend money on ABC to kind of sell anything, because now we, the marketplaces, our honeymoon period is over, and we want to make money. So for a small brand or a big brand, ease of launch is something which drives access to marketplaces. Compare it to launching your own DTC business, which is not very difficult now. I'll speak more about it. Easy, register, sign the agreement, upload your catalog, wait for it to be live, and boom, you have access to the entire market of India. What the brands get in return is a massive user base, traffic, but there's a catch here. The traffic doesn't discover you until you pay money. So yes, millions and millions of views per day on all the big marketplaces, but how many come your way? Very difficult. Then there is trust and credibility. I think this is a big one. I mean, for myself, I see a lot of ads on Instagram. I want to try the product. But first, I'll go to one specific marketplace and check, is this product listed there or not? In case the product is not listed there, then I might go to the DTC site and place a COD order, because I'm not sure where the product is going to land up. If the product is listed on a marketplace, maybe I'll order first from there to check out the experience. So once I ordered some chocolates online. It was a brand advertised on Instagram, and they were not there on any marketplace. I went to their DTC site. They said 24-hour delivery. I said, great. Well, the product did arrive. It was in a very nice packaging. It had an ice pack with it, but it arrived about 7 days late. And imagine what happened to that chocolate in Delhi heat, right? So there ended my experience with that specific product. So initial days, building trust and credibility, marketplaces really serve that well. Then, for a brand which is unknown, it gives you visibility and awareness across the entire country in one snap. For known brands, it gives you access, but being on a marketplace, from the example I just shared, gives you credibility, gives you people awareness that you are a brand, you are present, you are now there in this category, and you are a product of repute. You know, their credibility rubs onto you, and that helps in building awareness for your brand. Of course, the reach of marketplaces is unparalleled, and the growth is definitely coming from the tier 2, 3, 4 cities for all product categories, all brands today, so that's an added advantage. And their logistics capabilities, they can deliver anywhere in India within 1 or 2 days. So these are some of the reasons which propel people to go to the marketplaces. But then you would ask a question, why have DTC in the first place? There are a lot of big brands I know, they're still not on DTC. I personally have been building DTC businesses which have become bigger and profitable than marketplaces for the brands been associated with. I think first, most important thing is hedging your risks. If you're not on a marketplace, let's say you're just on one, suddenly you face blackout. You've not agreed to their terms, you have not participated in their promos, you're not visible anywhere. And then marketplaces amongst themselves keep on changing strategy. One of the marketplaces last year decided that I want to be very profitable, so I'm not going to buy anymore. And there were a lot of brands who were dependent on that marketplace who had nowhere else to sell. Right? And then the discovery algorithms are all a mystery. So no one tells you how your product is going to be discovered. All they'll tell you, invest this much money in marketing. There is some chance that you might figure on the first page and some chance that you might get the buy box. How? No one knows. And we all know marketplaces is not a level playing field. They would prioritize some sellers over others. If you are a smaller brand, maybe it's not in your favor. If you are a bigger brand, maybe it works for you. But this equation changes constantly as per marketplace priorities, not your brand priorities. So one day you have great sales, gone on the days of buying, now we are all listed. Next day you don't have sales. What happened there? Because somewhere they decided to prioritize, without informing you, some other product category, other brand over you. Then the customer data, most critical part. Nothing comes your way. You don't have any customer data. You cannot drive engagement and conversations with your customers. Tomorrow, if the brand was to get into stores or into retail or any other place, there is no omni-channel capability. It's plug and play. If you're putting in money, you're there. The moment you switch off that tap, maybe you're there, maybe you're not there. And what do you end up with? Nothing. So what do you go back with? You had sales, great sales. Everybody partnered in marketplaces. But suppose tomorrow there's a change in strategy, everyone is pressed for profitability, you decrease your marketing spend, you don't even know which customers bought, right? And then the brand experience and loyalty. If you want to give a premium experience, your experience is equal to the experience on the marketplace. Now, if you want to sell products which are 3,000 rupees, 4,000 rupees, some of the marketplaces may not be able to provide that experience. And loyalty is out of question. Nobody is loyal to any brand on any marketplace. Why? Because the experience is same for a 100 rupee product or a 3,000 rupee product. So there's no possibility of driving these things. Then the most important one is cost optimization. There was a perception marketplaces are cheaper. Look at it with everything added together. Maybe in an apparel, footwear, fashion business, commissions plus logistics is 35%. Then, of course, you have to spend on marketing. Otherwise, nobody is going to find you, even if you are a well-known brand. Forget about being a smaller brand. Then, of course, you have to participate in promotions. And then there is a plethora of returns. So interesting statistics is whatever DTC businesses do, their returns would be 15, 20% in fashion. But when marketplaces are in the same business, their returns are close to 40 to 45%. Double. Simply double of what you would get as a return on your own DTC site. And these costs are all hidden. You know, you budget for a year, you say, I'm going to spend this much XYZ, but sorry, suddenly your marketing spend does not give you the same return it used to give you 1 month back. And maybe it changes again 1 month later. And of course, then there are these promos. Earlier, the ask was for X. Now the ask is for 2X. Compared to this, the DTC business is, of course, in your control. You can decide what to scale, how much to scale, how much to spend, what would drive your profitability. So what do I suggest? I think going either way is not the solution. Short term is definitely marketplaces, which is for scale, which is for brand awareness. But during the same time, it is about building your own DTC business. First time purchase, first time customer acquisition, marketplaces are great. And I always ask this question, somebody who's bought your product, is he or she the customer of the marketplace or the customer of your brand? If that person is the customer of your brand, why should they go back again to the marketplace to buy the product? Why should they not talk to you as a brand, come and shop with you, considering you can give better pricing, you can give great experiences, you can drive loyalty, you can do conversations with your customers, you can understand how they are shopping, which actually fuels what you develop further, what strategy you evolve in the future. So long term, definitely drive retention through DTC, but it's slow burn, it takes a lot of time. I think the general perception is if I do my own DTC business, it's going to be very, very expensive. Now, how expensive it's going to be? I mean, there are 3, 4 ingredients to every e-commerce cost line. Technology, logistics, the big one is definitely marketing, right? Technology today does not cost you tons. It used to 10 years, 15 years back. And you can scale technology as per your aspiration of scaling your business. No one's asked to put a very big platform in place which costs a huge amount upfront and then keep on paying it for next 5 years, hoping to scale in the next 5 years and make profit after 5 years. So there are multiple choices available today. Logistics is logistics. It's really evolved as an industry. It is an X% of your cost. I think actual logistics variable cost is constant. The bigger cost is what your warehousing capabilities are, which can be extremely optimized if you are focused on DTC. Then comes marketing, which is directly proportional to the scale you want. But we've already discussed scale. Go to the marketplaces. For your own site, slow burn, invest on retention. There is some other marketplace taking care of your awareness with an X amount of marketing spend. Initially drive DTC for retention, which further would lead to new customer acquisition for you. Now, if you add the variables, and add the variables of commissions plus marketing spends, plus promotions, plus returns, I think the equation is in the favor of DTC when it comes to cost. Only thing to keep in mind, that's slow burn, so don't wait to start if there's a problem on the marketplace. Start while you are starting the marketplace. Start now, yes. That's it from my side. Thank you very much. Happy to take any questions if you have. Yes, please.
You can take this mic.
First of all, thank you so much for just highlighting how important it is to build the D2C business. And all in favor of the numbers at the end when you see it is definitely profitable and just building your first party data as well. I also wanted to address the bigger elephant in the room, which is discounting done by the marketplaces, which apparently a lot of brands do not want to do it for their own sake, for what they're D2C. So how do you see that, because that's a day in, day out fight, and you spend enough on D2C, but when a customer looks at a 5 or a 10% extra on marketplace, no matter the best of customer experiences falls short. So budgeting gets difficult, and all in all, it goes in the favor of e-coms then.
Yeah. So to paraphrase your question, you are wanting to know how marketplaces would fare on terms of experience, sales, etc. Yes?
I wanted to understand more on the fact that marketplaces definitely operate and get you into the discounting phase as a brand, highlighting it more, giving the consumer promos and all. And when you want to build up your D2C and have the customer come to your websites before going to a marketplace, when you're placed exactly where the marketplaces are,
right.
Customers definitely tend to go more towards discounting, more on not on the GWPs you gave or the experience you give. So you fall short on all the strats that you built. At the end, discounts become winners.
Right.
So how do you see that changing
Right.
going forward?
So thank you for that question. I think extremely relevant if you are wanting to make the switch. So one of the marketplaces we work with, gives us stats. New to the brand, new to the marketplace, and shopped with our brand, and already with the marketplace, but now started shopping with the brand. So when we look at that kind of a thing, what always comes to our mind is how do we get all these customers to the DTC site? And one big lever is the range differentiation. Now, as a fashion brand, you could have more than 8,000 products online. Everything may or may not be available to the marketplace, but that entire range would be available online and in stores. So that's part one of getting customers to switch, because now they've experienced the product. But important part is when they go to your DTC, the experience, I just shared that chocolate experience with. The experience has to be better than the marketplace or equivalent. Now, when it comes to delivery, when it comes to your UI, UX, when it comes to the checkout ease, everything. Now, customers are used to that hygiene. So once they come there, if they see a level lower, they will never come back. Then getting them requires a lot of investment, and a lot of investment not in marketing spend, but in trust and credibility. So build that piece first. Go to the marketplaces with the product range. Build uniqueness around the product range. And then that's where you can kind of balance both the portfolios. So something extra for the customers to come to the DTC side. Yes? I hope I have answered your question. Yes, thank you. Yes, please.
Hi. Firstly, thank you for explaining what she asked, and that's quite relevant to most of us who are selling on e-commerce. One more question that most investors are pushing for D2C brands, and in fact, most brand owners are also doing that. But for scale, I think marketplaces have been pretty good because they help drive repeats and quicker deliveries. So probably a same delivery with the likes of, or maybe instant delivery for the likes of Blinkit. What I wanted to ask that, what would you recommend as the kind of ideal mix between a D2C versus a marketplace? It's like you cannot ignore marketplaces also, but you cannot ignore D2C also. So what is the kind of ideal mix that should be there?
Very, very interesting question, and I think the mix keeps on shifting, is also dependent on what category, what products you are in. 10 years back, I would have answered that question, is 10% DTC, 90% marketplace. Today, definitely 50-50, if not 60-40. Achievable, done it in the past. And when we reach that mix, we have hedged our risks because demand is already there in the digital space. If the marketplace kind of drops its sale, I have seen positive trends on the sale rising in DTC. Right? That's number one. So definitely approach should be to develop the 50-50 mix. But then the timing question, you cannot do it in 2 years, maybe 3 years. So there is a longer horizon to go on that journey and develop that mix, because it just does not involve the selling and the marketing element. There is a lot of organizational engineering element in the back which has to tag into this. Maybe you have to make some differentiated products. Maybe you have to do some differentiated pricing. Maybe you need to have a loyalty program and incentivize customers to be part of that loyalty program and let that loyalty program gain traction. So there are a lot of ingredients in that mix, just that other than marketing and the technology piece of it. But yes, I would suggest eventually aim for a 50-50 one. Of course, it's not a single recipe for all businesses, but this is what I've successfully seen in the past. Thank you.
Perfect. Abhishek, thank you so much for that session. I'll just request you to stay on stage.